and you know my name. You know racing cars is my favorite game, and you know I can't be beat when I'm in the driver's seat. See, I got a lead foot and gas in my veins. God put a V8 where he should have put brains. There ain't a race I haven't run. There ain't a race I haven't won. And it's been 7 days since I've won a race, and I don't plan on leaving this place till I've won another. Send you crying home to your mother. See, I got the car, the skill, the crew, the will. God hates a sinner, but he loves a winner. You dare to show your face? Come on, Ace. Let's race.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 5 Off 5 On Racing Show. Welcome. For those of you who went to the Turkey Derby down at Wall Stadium in New Jersey, I hope you thawed out. From what I understand, it was very cold. Very cold. I was going to go, but I did something that I have not done in, let's see, let me do the math here. It's 23, 14, in 37 years. I went to a wedding instead of going to the races. And I survived. I lived. I was always worried that if, I missed a race and didn't go to the wedding, I would live. But it was good friends. Good friends, the son of a good friend, somebody I have known for, I would say, close to 40 years, and their son. It was their son. My friends Bob and Joanne, and their son Chris got married. It was nice. It was a good time. But it's kind of weird when you go to a function like that where it's close friends and you don't really know their circle other than the couple of people that you've interacted with at the house and stuff. It was kind of weird, and then people find out that, you have your own talk show and you're a world-renowned published author like I am. All of a sudden that you're the topic, and it started at like my table, then it branched off to other tables. So it was kind of interesting. But then, and it's funny in conversation now, the husband of this old friend from the high school days, he was into racing years ago. In fact, he was the crew chief for a driver named Bob Davis. For those of you who might remember Bob Davis racing at License Speedway years ago. And of course then, that brings about conversation. But I missed the Turkey Derby, not only for the wedding, I also had some business to take care of on Saturday. And it was just as cold here. But anyway, yeah, that's, another one does bite the dust. But maybe some of these things might start working out because it's not something I plan to do in the near future. But that's for sure. But anyway, my race news, WJ, welcome. I see Kevin from Long Island Need for Speed is also here, as well as Mod Guile and Silverback. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. I know I did. I must have had 3 Thanksgiving dinners over the weekend. It was pretty good. And it was good. It was good. So great show at Wall, as Kevin said. And I heard that. I heard there was some good racing, some good action. Some local Long Island people got some wins. I don't have Wall results. I'm not on their mailing list, so to speak, with results. And I went to the website earlier, and I didn't see anything. But then again, I don't get to see too much, in that kind of way. And yes, WJ, I see that you're in Florida. We get these little tidbits in the social media, that you went, fishing for some big, heavy stuff. And I saw the picture. It was pretty good. Now I just gotta ask, was that picture photoshopped? Because I'm thinking that that big, humongous fish that you gave back to the ocean. That's what everybody says. They come back with nothing. No, I caught it and I cut it loose. But anyway, racing. That's what we're here to talk about. Racing. For those of you on Long Island around this Sunday, and believe me when I say this, please don't fall off your chair, sit down. But Bob Finan has been pushing the Long Island swap meet at Riverhead Raceway. It'll be this Sunday. Just go down, and I think if the spot is like $20, and if you just want to walk in and walk around, it's like $5. But for you guys on Long Island that are looking for some stuff to help your race team, that's the place to go. I've been there. The first year we went, it wasn't that well attended, but it was a last minute thing. But now we know the first weekend in December, that's the day to go, and it is. So head out there and support your local racetrack. And one man's junk is another man's gold, and I'll be there trying to get rid of some items as well, including some books. And we're pushing the newest book, A View from the Inside, which has not been printed yet, but will soon be printed. And so it broke the rod. I love that. I love when I see something in the chat room catches my eyes and just throws my attention span out the window. But anyway, yeah, and Kevin will be there with some videos at the flea market. So it'll be good. You know, stop up. I mean, there's going to be everything from old parts to old race cars to parts of race cars to complete race cars. I'm just looking to get rid of some scales. I got some scales I need to get rid of. They're just taking space up in my storage place, in my new place. I have a new place, and I got plenty of storage. So it's all good. So I have one whole big room that just has all my racing stuff in it. I wouldn't say it's a big room. It's like a big storage room, I guess. I don't know. But it's got all my racing stuff in it. I was going through it yesterday morning, trying to organize, but I don't know. Well, it's both, WJ. Me and my publisher had a little chat, and I don't like this e-book thing. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I need to hold it. I need to bend the pages back when I need to stop reading. I need to have something. So we don't have a release date for View from the Inside. I know the plan is to try to have it out before Christmas. For this one, and the view from the back seat will be out middle of January, and hopefully a view from the front office will be available in time for Speed Weeks. So we'll have those three, and then we'll have a view from the window, which will be out in the summer, early summer. At least that's the plan. It doesn't always go as planned. There's a lot of reasons for that. But I think that is the latest plan, as it is etched in jello, as they used to say at my former employer. But it's still all racing stuff. It's all, racing stories. And like A View from the Inside is about a racer who stole his way to go racing, and he sat in prison thinking about it. So it was his view in prison. So for those of you who are on Long Island, it's not anybody you know. This is a totally fictitious individual that I made up. Just like all the rest. They're just made up people, so A View from the Window is another one. It's not what it sounds like, just like A View from the Back Seat. I had told my aunt, she's like 80 years old, about a view from the back seat, and she goes, "Joseph, that's not the kind of book you should be writing." And I said, "Nancy, it's not that kind of book." And she didn't believe me. So we got to get that one in there. But A View from the Window. A View from the Window, I'm not even going to get into it because we got to get the other ones out. But my publisher's still pushing that View from the hotel lobby. I don't know what we're going to do about that. It's not my style. And then people are going to think I did all that stuff, and I have no problems with the first two, but that kind of nonsense. But anyway, let's see. What do I want to talk about today? NBC, the National Broadcasting Corporation, is in the initial stages of assembling the team that will be broadcasting NASCAR events, Cup Nationwide and Camping World Truck Series in 2015. And Jeff Bohannock, who has over 2 decades during a long tenure at Turner Sports, was named to head the day-to-day operations of the group. His title is Vice President of NASCAR Productions. So NBC laid down a big chunk of cash for the television rights in 2015. And that's what it's all about, it seems like these days. And you would think with all this television cash, no Waltrams, you'd think with all this television cash that's then being, I don't want to say given to NASCAR, because it's not given, it's business. But with all this money, yeah, the Cup Series is the #1 big bomb boom. That they're they're the kings, so to speak. And then you got the Nationwide and the trucks. But the Touring Series, not just the modifieds, the K and N too, they need an influx of some cash and they need some money. Some of these races we go to in the modified tour, and although the schedule's not out, but if you go to certain tracks' websites, you can see where they're going to be. And I believe the schedule will be out in time for the Touring Series banquet, which I believe is in 2 weeks. Let's spread that around. I mean, come on. When you're talking billions, and when I say billions with a B, that places like NBC are putting up to do this. Why can't they take just like $1 million of the billions and give it to the Touring Series? There's no way I'm gonna tow to Bristol, finish like 24th, and put $1,500 in my pocket. I'm not doing that. I'm a businessman. Not that they're gonna let me run Bristol, but if I could, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go because it's just too expensive to go. I'm gonna spend that in fuel just getting there. And I'm gonna spend that in fuel coming back. I gotta stay there for 3 days. I gotta eat. And somebody once told me, you gotta eat whether you're there or not there, but I can go in my refrigerator at home and I think I'll eat that. I don't need to go to a restaurant and spend $20, $30 a meal, a couple of days or anything. Now the battle at the beach, that's one I'd love to go to because it's less than a half mile and I can race on tracks less than a half mile. But in talking with the car owner, I don't think we're gonna drag 2 cars down to Daytona, Florida. Again, it's just very costly. Very, very costly. And if if something were to happen and you're down in Florida and you trash your car, I know I don't have the funding yet to put it back together. So, again, a business decision that, the 83, which I believe is what my number is going to be, will not be at the Battle at the Beach. So, but it was good. I was reminded that the 83 was the number that I drove in the race car that I almost got, let's just say we wrecked very bad. But we're going to beat that bug. We're going to beat it. And the 83 is going to be the number, and I'm going to have some fun with that. Yeah, anyway, speaking of banquets, the Champions Week kicks off tomorrow for its 5th trip to Vegas. Coverage will air Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports 2, so a lot of people won't get to watch it. I don't know what they were thinking with this Fox Sports 2. Put it on a station everybody has. But, this is what I'm thinking happened. Fox Sports got with the people at NASCAR Productions, and they're sitting there talking, and they're going to pay all this money for the rights to these races and these events. So they're going to want money. So what do? They're going to put it on a station that you have to upgrade your package and add it. And you know what? They're losing the fan who built this sport. They're losing the working guy who works 40, 50 hours a week, goes home, pops open a beer, wants to watch a race on network TV. That guy's disappearing because you know what? He doesn't have these channels that these races are on, some of them. How do you do that? It'd be like the NFL deciding, you got to go to this pay thing to watch a football game. What are they thinking? What are they thinking? And it's greed. It's these, man. I mean, I don't want to bash NASCAR, but you know what? I'm thinking there's a whole new regime, and it's a younger crowd who just got out of college with their marketing degrees and their master's degrees and all this other kind of stuff, and it's about making the quick buck. Because I see that. I see that in my former business. I see it in my present business. They want to make the big buck. They're not in it for the long haul. And there's something wrong. Absolutely, Kevin, it's greed. And I don't think it's so much the NASCAR greed. It's these people that are selling them this lineup crap that, all this money that they're going to make and all this and all that and all the other thing. But they need to spread it around. They need to spread it around. Not I don't know what some promoters do. you sponsor an event for 20 grand, let's say, you put up 20 grand to sponsor a race, and, you know, and 1,000 of it goes to the competitor. That's something wrong with that picture. But then again, I don't know, maybe if I was a race promoter, I would take all the money I get and, you know, put it in a big box and do what I gotta do, but I'm not. So I'm a racer. I've been a racer from one aspect or another most of my life. And I see some of the stuff, you know, auto racing just doesn't cater to the business model. I mean, how many people are in this business and you know going in, you know when you sign your deal, you know you're gonna lose money at the end of the year. What business does that? What business opens the door and say, I know I'm gonna lose money this year, let's keep doing it. But you know, it's the passion that we all have for this sport. You know, how many people drove 2-3 hours to go sit at a racetrack and freeze for 2 days? Because that's what they like to do. They like the races. And you know, unfortunately, I have yet to go to a turkey derby. And in the 40, I believe it's 40 years that they've done turkey derbies. I think I was 15 or 16 when the first one came out. I didn't even know what a turkey derby was. You know, but I've never gone. Never gone to a turkey derby. Would I like to? Yeah. Maybe in July, but I don't know. And then Kevin, knowing I need for speed, he says he's hoping that NASCAR goes the way USAC. Wow, ooh, that's deep. That's serious. I don't think that'll happen, but if it were to happen, you know, and as Kevin says, the USAC's out of business. I don't think NASCAR will go out of business because if you know, I have, well, not my personal stuff, I have stock in International Speedway Corp, which owns many of the racetracks that NASCAR utilizes. And if you look at the names on the board of directors for NASCAR and International Speedway Corp, they're the same people. So I would hate to see NASCAR go out of business. I would hate to see that. I don't think it'll happen because when I read my little book that comes every year and explains what's going on with NASCAR, NASCAR is into a lot of things other than promoting races. All right, so I don't know. I don't think NASCAR is going to go out of business anytime soon. But they do need to regroup. They do need to take a look at the future of racing, especially on the entry levels. When I say the entry level, the weekly racing series, the touring series, like the modifieds, that's North and South, and the K&N East and West. Those are the series I think that they need to take a look at and use those series as development series. And put some of the, I know the K&N, a lot of guys and gals make the jump from K&N to, you know, trucks and nationwide and whatnot, but the touring series, I guess what happened is years ago when the tour first started back in '85, and before it was the tour, it was, you know, just a bunch of modifieds racing for national points. When they were doing that back then, a lot of those guys and gals, I guess, didn't want to go full-fended racing. They were happy because you know what was happening. You had, you know, Thompson had 5 races, Stafford had 4 or 5 races, Waterford had a handful of races, Seekonk had, you know, it was almost like the Connecticut tour. Yeah, sure, they came down to Long Island for a handful of races, and they went to Richmond for a race or two, Martinsville, you know, up to Holland, New York, to that little short track. But it was a tight little group. Most of those teams could get there in an hour or two at most, other than, you know, going down up to Holland. But when you look at that, you know, and maybe NASCAR stepped back and says, well, look, these guys are happy in their little niche. We don't have to worry about it, you know. The K&N. You know, people joke around and you know, it's the kids and nephews series, the K&N, that's what it stands for. But really, K&N Filters is a very good company, and they make a good product. But when you look at that, you know, yeah, you know, some of these some of these Cup teams have cars in the K&N series, and they're developing their drivers. I mean, really, the cars are very similar. They weigh about the same, and sometimes they race on big tracks, sometimes they don't. The call number. Kevin, you call every week. You don't know my number? 1-855-4-IN-RAVIO, 1-855-446-7284. It's on the screen now. So I thought that was on your speed dial, Kevin, man. But yeah, we can talk about Wall. We'll talk about Wall. In fact, we're going to take a break. When we come back, talk about some more things that Joe wants to talk about. We'll be back.
Moriches Bay Diner and Restaurant. Steaks, chops, wraps, breakfast skillets. The Moriches Bay, 62 Montauk Highway in Moriches, New York. 878-6827. The Moriches Bay Diner and Restaurant in New York.
InRavio.com.
Stay in tune guitar strings. Guitar strings, bass strings, polish and accessories. Stay in tune guitar strings. Akron, Ohio. www.sitstrings.com.
InRavio. Transmitter? We don't need no stinking transmitter. Welcome to InRavio.com.
Hey, this is Paul Disclafani, the disco portion of the Glory Days with Bruce and Disco show on Sundays, 10 a.m. to noon. It's a sports show with a twist. We have entertainment, music, and whatever you want to talk about. Only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Good Times Magazine, New York's best entertainment paper for 43 years. Check out their calendar for all the latest music info, including New York City, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. Studio News brings you the biggest news about the hottest artists and sounds. Technobeat is your guide to electronica, techno, house, and dubstep. Packtrack keeps you up to date on the biggest events at the area's performing arts centers and theaters. Good Times Magazine gives you all this and more. It's bi-weekly and it's free. Pick up your copy today or visit goodtimesmag.com.
And we're back. Welcome. Hey, so anyway, Silverback's talking about back when he was traveling with Jake the Snake Morose, and I'm going to explain where he got that nickname from. But and he was saying it was cheaper back then, and it was. I just looked back to when I first got involved with the tour at the turn of the century here, back in 2000, 2001, 2002. I never thought I'd be able to say that, but I can. It really was the turn of the century, and I was kind of helping out part time, and then I went full time with the tour in 03. But I can remember the cost of tires was half the amount, and fuel was half the amount, but the purses were a heck of a lot more. I can remember, the tour would come to Riverhead, and it was advertised as the highest paying race per mile, because it paid something like $6,000 a win. And the best part is they paid it in cash. Any IRS people there? I guess the statute of limitations ran out, but they paid it in cash. So I don't know, to get like $6,000 to win, and put $6,000 in your pocket, I got to make like 11.5 to put $6,000 in my pocket. So that was a good paying race. You didn't have to wait for the check to come from from NASCAR in the mail and go cash it and get like that little statement, Yeah. Because of you, Jay. Well, it was then too. That's when I really started working the tour. It was the turn of the century. It was kind of funny. Wow, I'm getting old. But it was a lot better paying. We weren't going to places and spending 3 days there where it was tech one day, qualifying the next practice. that afternoon and race the next day. We were in and out of some of these places. And that's how it should be. And Phil Kurz from Wheeling Engineering, Vice President of Motorsports Marketing, he has said that over and over again. Let's get there in the morning, do our thing, and get home. We don't need to be there for 2 nights, 3 days and 2 nights. And I know that's one of his issues that he's working on. And we're trying to get Phil to not only be on the show, but to come to Long Island. So we're going to try to make that happen, because we're going to talk about that. Talk about what's going on with the tour, what's going on with Wheeling Engineering. I believe they're signed through 2016, which is good. It's a good influx for the teams. I just wish there's some more to go around to some of these teams, and not some of them, all of them. You know, spread it around. They need to spread it around. So anyway, I believe we have Kevin from Long Island Need for Speed on line 4. I think we'll bring him up. Kevin, you out there?
Yeah, hello, Joe. How you doing?
Kevin, how are you? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. Turkey Derby was one of the better turkey derbies. I hung out with Baldwin for a while, and I mentioned to Tommy Baldwin that my firehouse was having a Daytona 500 party. He offered to send some sheet metal autographed by him and the crew members and Dave Blaney and whoever else he's got driving. The new camera I got for Long Island Need for Speed is like if you were at the races live. If Fox TV was doing it live. Very. I'm glad I got it and stuff.
Nice.
Like I said before, on Sunday, I'll be at Riverhead Raceway if anybody needs any DVDs from this past summer at Riverhead or any other track. Plus, I got some stuff for you. I found some old stuff, and right now, Big Mike's videos. It's back in the hospital again. I wish him well. I think he's going in for another operation. Told me yesterday. He did a video. It's excellent. It actually has, from back in the 70s, some Freeport stuff. You know, with the X9 of Georgie Wagner driving it, Charlie J's Vega, the X3 Pinto. No, actually the Vega that was at Freeport. It was the last race they had, the bicentennial. It's clear. It's like you were watching it live.
Wow.
And there's some old stuff from Islip Speedway when I first started going, when Jim Hendrickson drove for Tony Ferrante, and the X3 Camaro, that's on there. The Mustang's on there. Freddie Harback's X89 coach is on that video, and Bill Spade's car, when it was green, it looked like a rat before he redid it. That's on there. There's like Buzzy Ruderman had a Vega. It must have been in one of the 300 lap races or whatever. Richie Evans is in a Pinto on there, and it's a really, really excellent DVD. If anybody wants any, I'll have them on Sunday. Those proceeds I'm going to send down to Michael in Jersey there. That's Big Mike that comes on here every week. Like I said before, he's sick. He's going back in the hospital. He actually was in the hospital yesterday. He called me because I asked him about some stuff. You know, with my camera, I couldn't get it to download onto the computer and stuff. I finally went to Best Buy and got it all straightened out. And without his help, I would have been all screwed up. But he's a really good guy. And if anybody needed any videos, just get him on Facebook and stuff like that. The guy is an excellent video guy, and, you know, he's like a really good friend. He's like a brother to me and stuff like that.
He's a good guy, Big Mike.
You know, you met him, you know. You know, his whole problem is he's overweight and stuff like that. So, you know, he has issues and stuff. It's a shame, but hell of a nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Really nice guy, and I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested, you know, you can get a hold of him on his Facebook page, or just go to mikesmotorsports.com. And, you know, it's well worth the videos if you guys need any good dirt stuff, or he has asphalt stuff and everything else. So, excellent guy. He does mountain speedway, so if anybody on Long Island or wherever that raced that mountain last summer, I know the Fortons did, he has video from there, from every show. You know, any Legends guys that went up there, he has videos of the Legends cars up there. Whatever ran on a Saturday night or even Sunday during the Big Dog race and, you know, all that stuff. He has, like I said, excellent videos. And like I said, I really enjoyed myself at Turkey Derby. There was, I had to be over at least 35 modifies there. Like I said, it was the 60 of Hirschman again won, but I mean, he was dicing up with Priest and who else was there? The 65 car. I think it's one of what's his name's cars. He moved down south, but it's a famous driver from Jersey. The family started from way back when. They had tons of vintage cars. I'm sorry my brother couldn't go, but he was working. But, I mean, they had one of the old Bodine's Falcons there, and they had a Charlie Jazumbach replica, you know, a Vega. Right. They had a couple of guys that did want to come to the show that we were going to have in July, the Jazumbach Memorial. They're disappointed. They told me on Saturday they were disappointed. And the cars that were going to come were beautiful-looking cars, and they hopefully maybe Bob Fine or whatever can get a hold of them, and they'll come next year. You know, no hard feelings and stuff, even though I'm a member of the Garden State. But they really, honestly did want to come, man. There was 6 cars that wanted to come.
And I'll tell you
but,
what,
all in all, it was a great day. There was, like I said, a few Charger cars there. The 43 Charger car, but was renamed the number 1 car that what's the name drive? I forget what driver it is. The Turbishes were there, Danny and his father, Rusty. It was Rusty and Danny Turbish, right? Mm-hmm. And who else was there? The 30 car that's from Franklin Square. The guy that is deaf. He was there. Yeah. And there was one other car, number 26. I don't even think he ran, Riverhead. I think he just built it for Wall. Matlack was there. He was running up front till he got hit and lost control and wound up in the infield. I think something happened to his rear end. Dave Sapienza was running good until the motor went. He had a motor built by Walter, the tech inspector out there in Riverhead, and it blew up.
So that must be the one motor that Walter builds.
Huh?
That must be the one motor that Walter builds, because anytime I've talked to the comedies about that, they tell me that he only builds one motor, so I guess it's Dave Sapienza's.
Yeah, because Dave usually uses Billy the Kid. That's what he uses. Because I talked to Dave today, because I got to go, like I said, Sunday, because I still have, believe it or not, I did a GoPro also. I went out and bought the GoPro, and I put it in Dave's car. Dave didn't qualify through time trial, so he had to come through the heat, so he started almost way in the back and came and finished second in his heat race. So that was good. So I'm just waiting to see how the GoPro came out and stuff. So Need for Speed is going to be really, really good. It's going to be like if you're watching Fox, starting, I'm doing stuff now for February because I have stuff for January and stuff. And actually the show's on every Monday night. If anybody wants to get it that lives in, actually it's going on in a half hour. 8 p.m. that lives in Hauppauge and what else? Brookhaven, and anybody else that lives in Nassau County, Woodbury, that gets Woodbury cable. That's still on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock. Also, I seen what's his name that was on your show a while ago from used to work for Fox and NASCAR. He runs a midget. His dad owns midgets, I think.
Derek Penasiglio.
Yeah, a really nice guy. He just kept thanking me for the Richie Evans video. So, it was excellent, and stuff like. He's not working for NASCAR anymore. He's working strictly for Fox and stuff. He came over to me and talked to me and stuff. So that was nice. I was hanging out in the Spartans thing, doing my thing with the scanner and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, it was one of the best turkey derbies. The lights went out just before the SK modifies, and the girlfriend wanted to go home, So I was like, all right, yeah, we'll go have some cocktails. This should warm you up. So we left before the SKs. Actually, the what they call the limited late models was still running. So I think Turbis was running second or something when we left. And then the lights went out, and I was like, yeah, it's time to get out of here. I'm freezing.
Yeah, it was pretty
cold. So all in all, it was a great day.
Good deal.
I think so.
Good deal. How's everything else going, Kevin? It's all
good?
Like
I said before, if anybody needs any DVDs, I'm going to set up a booth on Sunday. If anybody needs anything from this year from Riverhead or any other track, some of the videos that Mike's, that money's going to him. And also, I'm going to try to get my brother to bring down one of the vintage cars that he's looking to get rid of. Probably the not the Cavalier, but I guess it is a Cavalier, the Frenchie's Auto Body car.
Oh, yeah.
That's best offer. So come along with about $3 or $4 grand. Take the thing away. All you got to do is throw a motor in it. You can go either SK or Modify Racing. It's got everything in it. The thing ran about 4 years ago at Turkey Derby as the Car 5 in the SK division there at Wall. So,
it's
a good car. It's got a lot of history behind it. It was clipped about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, front and rear. So the only original part of the car, which was built in 1983, is the cage. That's the only original. The tub, the inside tub, is the only original sheet metal. But it's been clipped front and rear. It's up to date and everything else. I mean, it's got the MSD box. I mean, it's NASCAR legal. Just throw a motor in it. Tranny's there, everything. Just throw a motor in it and go. So you're race ready. If you got some money that you want for a modified, there's nothing really you have to do. Just throw the motor in it and go. Best offer.
All right. Now, what if like the best offer was only like 500?
He had it in the thing for. He's trying to sell it for $4,000. Believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
But now it's best offer. So
okay.
Joe, come with your pocketbook and make him an offer.
Come with my pocketbook. We just got the motor from Billy the Kid last week for the '83 car.
I was actually thinking about this, having my drill team buy it and try to raffle it off somehow or something like that. Hey, I don't know.
I know somebody. There was a driver years ago, and maybe WJ might remember. They raffled off a car, a race car.
They did that with the Charlie J car that wound up down in the Ray Everham's museum now. I know. I put in about $100 worth of chances for that thing.
Silverback's breaking my chops. And I know who Silverback is. You can't hide behind the name changes every week, Silverback. I got people. But anyway, yeah, the good old days. So, Kevin, Long Island Need for Speed is Monday nights and Thursdays still, correct?
Right. It's still, like I said before, 8 o'clock for Brookhaven and Hop Hog. Monday nights, 8 o'clock. And still Thursday nights, since you still live over my way, Thursday nights at 9 o'clock, channel 115.
115.
So that's channel 20 on Monday nights at 8 o'clock, and channel 115 on Thursday nights for anybody that gets Woodbury cable.
Right. And that's the Thursday night is what, 9?
That's 9 o'clock, yes.
9 to 10. Good deal.
So it's a definite show to see. I've got a lot of like videos I got. Like I said, Saturday I bought some videos, T-shirt. I bought all sorts of crap. And what else did I do? Yeah, and I have more fire department stuff I got from a couple other guys that I'll be showing. If anybody has any DVDs, just give me a call or Facebook me if you have any DVDs that you want aired. I don't care if it's boat racing, motorcycle racing, I don't care if it's go-kart racing, whatever, I'll air it. So if anybody has any stuff they want aired, just give me a call. I'll meet you someplace, pick up the DVD. I'll make a copy and then give you the original DVD right back. So if anybody has anything, especially the old stuff, if anybody has any old stuff, I'd love to air it. Like I said, it's your show, folks. It's not mine. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody wanted to see.
Over 300,000 people watch the show every week anyway.
Yeah, somebody wanted to see my wreck from '96, so I let them borrow the video, and they were like, they couldn't believe that I lived. I should get that.
If you want to air it, Joe, bring it on Sunday.
Maybe we might need to do that.
If anybody, like I said before, I'll be there on Sunday. I don't know what time it starts. I'll probably be there like 9 o'clock, and I'll probably stay till like 1 or 2 o'clock. But, I'm not hanging out there all freaking day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Me too. I'll stay there until either I sell everything I got or until I'm too cold.
Yeah, so I'll have some DVDs. If Walter's going out there, I'll have some DVDs. Like, I'll give you a copy of Turkey Derby since you missed that one. And I don't know what else you want. I'll give you that DVD that I got from Mike, you know what I'm saying. And I don't know what else you need. I'll put stuff together. I'm Walter, too, if he shows up.
Yeah, all right.
You know what I'm saying? I could even burn them right then and there because I'll bring my laptop computer and I can burn it right there. Bring the regular ones and I have a thing that'll burn it right there.
Excellent.
So if anybody's interested, like I said, I have the in-car camera stuff going this year. For next year, if anybody wants to put it in their car, it's a GoPro, whatever, I'll just make you a copy of the tape, and then that's the deal, I want to try every car. I want to try a Modify 1 week, Figure 8 another week, Blunderbuss another week, just switch it up.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody's interested, and I'm also looking if anybody wants to, I really would like to get a sponsor to help me, buy like DVDs. That's all I'm asking for now. I bought the camera myself. The DVDs, that's all I'm asking for. So if you want to throw in $100 or something like that. And also, I was going to ask you how much it would cost to advertise on your show.
I could send you a proposal.
Bring it Sunday, and I'll look at it.
You got it.
I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, it's
You know,
a good deal.
right now I'm retired. You know, that's it. I'm on disability or whatever. So, you know, whatever money I can make, I can make. You know, videos are only $20. So, you know, if you make out a deal, you buy two, I give one free. So,
All right.
you know, it's good for the holidays. All my stuff is good stuff. So, you know, you can listen to the drivers, talk to the crew, and the whole 9 yards. I leave the cursing in there, the whole 9 yards. So it's good.
Like on my show last week.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, oh my God. So, and also I seen, believe it or not, was that Turkey Derby. Gary Danko, believe it or not, was there. So I was talking about his show and stuff. So that was pretty good. He wanted me to send him some DVD. He might call me in April or May when they go back on air, because they're off air now until April.
Excellent.
So he actually came to me too. You know, I guess I sent him a couple of my videos, but you know, he actually came over to me too when we were doing the press thing. Ace Lane was over there talking to me. Jesus Christ, I must be really popular.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even say nothing. They're all, hey, how you doing, Kev? You know, I'm like, Jesus, am I that popular?
Well,
you know?
maybe.
So.
All right. Well, Kevin,
That's
thank
it.
you.
All right, so I'll see you guys on Sunday. Again, if anybody needs any DVDs, you know, and then you guys want any of the stuff from Mountain or even Mahoning or any other track that the Legends cars ran, whatever that Mike has, all the proceeds will go to Michael because, like I said before, he's sick. He's not even listening right now. So
Video
unless
Mike
he is,
because
I think he's going in for surgery tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like,
You know, I feel bad for the guy, really. Hell of a nice guy, you know. And he does excellent video work. He showed me a lot of things, too, and stuff, so I deeply appreciate it. He's like a brother to me, believe me.
Yep.
You know?
Good guy.
So.
All
right, so I'll see you guys Sunday. Have a good week.
All right, Kevin. Thank you. Kevin Basic, Long Island E for Speed. And we'll be right back.
Hey, dude, it's me again. You know, Village Music Shop in Mastic. Anyway, you all know my dog, Mr. Big. Yeah. Well, dudes and dudettes, Village Music Shop has been in business for over 37 years, serving musicians with the best products and service around. Oh, they have private lessons on all instruments and in all styles of music in their new state-of-the-art digital teaching studios, with the excellent sales and service of guitars, drums, school band instruments, amps, PAs, as well as sheet music, books, and accessories. Basically, dudes, everything musical, right, Big? Yeah. Chill out. Village Music has rentals on all instruments, even PA systems for your parties and barbecues. Oh, cool. Dudes, Village Music Shop never has a sale on stuff because every day our prices are lower than all the competition. Stores, internet, whatever, guaranteed. Yeah. So come to Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Phone 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Anyway.
Radio.com.
Oil City Skate Park, Long Island's only indoor skate park. Skateboarding, BMX, inline skating, open 7 days a week. Nearly 150 decks by Baker, Flip, Girl, Chocolate, Real, Plan B, Crimson, Zero, Element, DGK, Bogata, and more. The best in tees, hoodies, wallets, trucks, wheels, bearings, t-shirts, hats, and DVD. New York's largest Santa Cruz dealer. Introducing Jark Skateboards, Europe's best-selling deck. Oil City Skate Park, 3565 Maple Court, Oceanside, New York. Phone 516-442-0706 or go to www.oilcityska8.com for more info.
InRavio.com. Welcome to the future of radio. In radio.
Hey, this is Chuck from the Two Guys and the Chick Show. Check us out Wednesday nights from 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about stupid news, email bag, and all-around BS. Two Guys and the Chick Show, only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world.
What are you waiting for? Everyone else is advertising on the internet. Shouldn't you? Tired of small returns on phone books, newspapers, radio ads, TV ads, coupon books, direct mail? Everyone is on the internet every day. Advertise on the internet for as low as $100 a month. Over 250,000 impressions per month on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Enravio.com, and more. Go to the Advertise With Us page on Ravio.com and get started today.
Hey, welcome back. Look, I love this studio. It's pretty cool here. A little table and nice. Actually, it's not such a little table, but it's good. Little video screen in the back. And the world in behind me. But it's pretty cool. But anyway, I wish. I have this person that talks to me. Yeah, it's a real person. So sometimes I'll laugh and crack up. So anyway. What do we got? Eric Almirola will have a new crew chief in 2014. Trent Owens was chosen by Richard Petty Motorsports to lead the team on the 43 car in 2014. Most recently, Owens was the crew chief for Turner Scott Motorsports and its driver Kyle Larson in the Nationwide Series. Larson went on to win Rookie of the Year in the Nationwide Series and is headed to Earnhardt Ganassi Racing for a Cup ride in 2014. For those who don't know, Owens is the nephew of Richard Petty. So, going back to a family operation again, it looks like. A family operation. And when you look about it, when you look back at racing, back in the day, that's what it was. It was a family deal, not only in the Cup and what they called the Busch Series back then, and there was no truck series back then, and you had your weekly series and you had some touring things going on, and you had, NASCAR West, what they call Winston West back then. But it was families. It was, you loaded up the car, the truck, whatever, you packed some food in the cooler and you went racing. Somewhere along the line, it got out of control. It got out of control. And, and everybody wants to blame NASCAR. And this is one of the things I've been thinking about for a long, long time. And it's not NASCAR's fault that Mr. Car owner decides to buy $1 million hauler to go race at his local racetrack. It's not NASCAR's fault that Mr. Car owner is willing to pay $50,000 for a motor to race in his local racing series. And it's not NASCAR's fault that Mr. Car owner wants to buy 12 tires to get the perfect match at his local weekly racetrack. Just saying. So everybody's quick to blame NASCAR. And understand when it comes to purses, NASCAR doesn't make the purses. NASCAR doesn't put up the money. NASCAR doesn't do anything other than sign the checks, because whatever racetrack's holding a touring event, and all the way up the ladder, that racetrack, that facility, sends that money to NASCAR. It has to be in the, they have to have the money by a certain day prior to the event, and it has to be clear, and it has to all be there. Now with wires and stuff, I'm sure they don't actually overnight a check, but this all came to be because back in the day, a lot of these tracks, this is one of the reasons why NASCAR was started, these drivers would pay their entry fees and inspections and go racing, and then they go to the payoff window and there's nobody there. That promoter's moved on, And it's not, I don't think it's NASCAR's fault for allowing a $50,000 motor. You can't, the motor is only like, I don't know, you could be competitive with a $20,000 motor, but you know what? Who wants this, who wants that, who wants the other thing? And you can't control what somebody's gonna spend on something. What NASCAR did to curtail that is the spec motor, which I don't want to sound negative, but the spec motor just wasn't designed to race on tracks a half mile and under. And in a modified, that's most of their races. It doesn't have the torque that's necessary, in my opinion. some of these engine builders, and then I don't know where they come up with these monies, these fees, for what they get for a motor. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot that goes into the assembly, a lot that goes into fabricating parts. But you know what? This is the problem. See, as an entrepreneur, if somebody's willing to pay $20,000 for an item, let's say, so that guy then says, well, look, if they're willing to pay 20, maybe next year we'll charge 24. And then the year after that, 26. And before you know it, you're spending 50 grand. And my dad owned a tool company. He designed and manufactured special cutting tools. And I used to ask him, I said, Dad, how do you come up with the monies? I mean, how do you come up with the pricing? And he goes, sometimes it's whatever the market will bear. And I don't know. And WJ, I got to disagree again. It's they approve a certain part. Now, you could get that part made out of whatever, and you can get that part made out of, gold. It's like jewelry. You could get an inexpensive bracelet, or you can get a $20,000 bracelet. The rule says bracelet, you can have one. And then, some of these guys with these carburetors, tens of thousands of dollars on a carburetor, as long as it fits the little gauges, you can have whatever you want in it. You can spend as much money as you want. And Ed Cox, and I'm going to say this again, Ed Cox, down in a meeting back right before he moved on to his present position at NASCAR, what he told these things, and I can remember the owners that were there, and I don't remember all of them, but I know Bob Garbarino was on, Art Barry was on, the guys who owned Tony Hirschman's car, the Kahili brothers, they were there. The bowlers were there. And he said to them, he said, if you guys keep showing up at these races, and these guys really weren't the ones, but he goes, if you guys keep showing up at these races with these $1 million haulers, and on top of that, racing these at the time, I think it was the True Value series or the other touring series that was starting to develop. If you're going to race these races for $12.50 to win, eventually you're going to get $12.50 to win. That's what started happening. Like in Silverjack is saying, you can have chrome valves and they're $100 a piece. Of regular valves, they're $40 or $60. It's the rules. Maybe they are too vague, but you know what? Then you need a jailhouse lawyer to interpret the rules, and the rule book wouldn't be just 300 pages. It would be like a phone book, and you really can't do that. It becomes very difficult, and it becomes very difficult to police. What's going to end up happening? This is what's going to end up happening, in at least I'm thinking in the touring series level, is this. Just like with racing 600 in legend cars. You want to race in this series, you got to buy everything from us. I see that coming. And it's going to be a phase-in. It's going to be, if you don't have one, not that you'll be penalized, but the one who has the NASCAR one is going to get advantages, and I see that coming. And I'm not talking about any inside information. I'm just talking about, as a businessman, if I'm NASCAR, if I'm in the R&D center controlling this, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. All right? I just first start with bodies, roofs, quarter panels, door panels, interior tin. All right, now you got that out of the way. And then the rule is every time you trash a body, you got to go get the one from NASCAR. And then what's going to be is rear ends, then trannies, drive shafts, and a motor. In the next 10 years, I think that's what's going to end up being, that you got to go to NASCAR and buy the car. You want to race here? This is what you got to do. I see it coming. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. It would control the cost. It really would. Because, you're at the whim of these engine builders, these fabricators, and I'm not going to name any teams, but I know And I'm not going to name the engine builders either, but I know car XYZ buys his motor from ABC engine builder. But then there's this other guy, he doesn't run up front, but he wants that same motor. So he goes to ABC engine builders, and he's not getting the same motor. And that I know for a fact. I'm not going to throw out any names. I'm not going to trash any engine builders because I don't wear the black hat anymore. But, you know, that's what's happening. And I can remember the first time I went to buy a motor, I sat down with an engine builder, and this was, gosh, I lived back in the 80s. And I said, I need an engine. What's it going to cost me? He goes, well, you know what? You need to really come down and talk to me. I can't talk at the racetrack. All right, fair enough. He's a businessman. You know, they say you get you in the door, you're walking out with a sale, right? So I go see him. Now I'm a nobody. I'm nobody. So I go down and talk, and I said, so what's this motor? I said, I have nothing. What's this motor going to cost me? So he didn't get out a calculator and a pad and pen and start figuring it out. He said, who do you want to be as fast as? I said, so what? Who do you want to be as fast as? You know, there's a figure 8 car back in the day, and it says, if you want to be as fast as Tommy Ryan, it's this much. You want to be as fast as George Brown, it's this much. If you want to be as fast as TK, Tom Kraft, it's this much. He's on the deal here. Like, whoa, I don't know if I could do that. I don't have that kind of money. I didn't have that kind of money. I mean, I did, but not to go racing with. And even when I got the big sponsors, I didn't do that. You know, but like Kevin Bay says, go back to the old ways. Go back to why they called them modifieds. Because, you know, guys modified this stuff. And I'll tell you what, WJ, I agree with you on that one. We're going to see some small fields. We're going to see some small fields, and the only thing that's going to help is it's going to help me get some top 20s. Some top 15s. Exactly, 22 figure eight. Exactly. How fast do you want to go? You want to go as fast as those guys? That's what you need to do. That's what it's going to cost you. You know, so I always got like a second-hand motor. Blew up a couple. You know, I had a 5-cylinder when I was running a 6-cylinder car I bought from Roy Pizzo. You know, that's etched in my brain. You know, then I got the 7-cylinder that I got from Andrew Biondolillo. So I've been, you know, kind of shafted a little bit over the years with engines. The best engine I ever got was from PCHS Race Engines in Bohemia. But you know, you're right. You know, a fast engine doesn't get you through the corners, and if you can't get the horsepower to the ground, you're not going fast anyway. So, engines. That's probably the biggest cost on any race operation is the engines, what it costs for the engines. And from what I understand, that spec engine, as in talking to an engine builder who shall remain nameless, that engine had no resale value because it couldn't be freshened up. Once it's used up, it's used up. You know, but you know, Silverback, he's been doing this for forever, just like me, and you know, and he knows what's involved in this, and you know, do you need all of that? I don't know. I don't think you do. I think you need, you know, I think if you have if you're close, I mean, think about it. When you look at it, and I'm going to talk about the modified tour because I'm familiar with that. When you look at the time trials, you know, times for racing, usually it's 4/10 or half a second separates pole or, we're not sending people home, or I'll say last. You like that, you go, wow, oof, that's a lot. It's not. It's a blink. It's a blink of an eye. That's how competitive they are. But there's guys out there with $40,000 and $50,000 engines, and there's guys who put an engine together in the garage from parts they had. They're right there, maybe 6/10 off, 5/10 off, whatever the case may be. You know, it's just one of those things, and I think, you know, NASCAR doesn't need to get a handle on this. I think the teams, I think the owners all need to sit down and decide where they're going with this, because the purses keep shrinking. The purses are smaller and smaller every year. What they need to do is say, guys, we're killing ourselves. You know, there's just so much sponsorship money to go around, and there's only a handful of teams out there that have any decent sponsorship on the modified tour. I mean, I've never looked at their P&L statements, and I've never looked at their ledger books. But when you think about this, the monies that are spent, you know, there's teams they put companies on it and on their car as sponsors because that's their friend and they help. Or that guy bought a set of tires. A set of tires? Are you kidding me? You don't get a quarter pound for a set of tires. You might maybe, you know, for a set of tires, maybe we'll put you on the drive shaft, you know, but, you know, you're not getting prime spot, you know, and I'll tell you what, Silverback, that's something that really needs to be discussed. You know, 100-lap races, and I don't think there should be any change unless it's a bent wheel or flat. You don't need two tires. You know, and they need to limit the number of tires that you could buy. You know, you go to these races, and I've watched this, and from both sides of this fence now, and, you know, the big dollar teams walk in, and they have tires already, which I don't understand how you can do, and then they buy another 10, and then they decide which 10 they're going to, like, register for, because you could, you know, some races you could buy 10, you can only use 6, but you could buy 10, or you could buy 8, it's whatever, you have 4 in the car and 4, you know, that way, and then there's other guys that, you know, they get their 4 that you got to start on, and maybe a couple of spares, and, you know, so think about the cost of a tire. You know, I think a set of tires, and Silverback might know, because I'm not really sure what a set costs, because I've heard different numbers, but it's around $800, if I'm not mistaken, $780 for a set of modified tour tires. You know, and not considering that the freebies if you're on the bonus plan. It's, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's something that needs to be looked at. That's the big cost. It's the big cost. And 100 laps green. Can you imagine? They'd be racing at some of these short tracks for like a day and a half if you want 100 laps green. Can you imagine that? I mean, there was a, when was it? It was a couple of years back at Riverhead, a quarter mile racetrack. I think it was a 200 lapper. There were 105 or 106 laps of caution. And the race took like 3 hours. What time are you going to start? 3 in the afternoon? I don't know. Sometimes I like these, you know, just pure green flag laps only deals, but then what do? You know, when there's a situation and you're riding around on the yellow, you just ride and ride, and the fans lose interest. You know, now fuel mileage gets kicked in, or this, you know, now you're worried. What are you going to do? Do we have enough fuel? You know, put enough gas in it to last so many laps, and now this, you know, 100-lap race of green is going to be like 180 laps. I don't know if that's a good idea. You know, and the red flag was working. I know that Brian Vance, the race director in the Wheeler Modified Tour, used the red flag often to get the laps in. But understand something when you go you know, yellow, and as the former race director, this is what happened. And think about this now. There's a wreck, there's a spin, there's a whatever, debris. All right, flagman, put it out. That's what I'd say on the radio. All right, flagman, put it out. Debris in one, or wreck, oil in one. So he puts it out. All right, you pick up the field, and then you don't wait for the lead, you just put it out then. Now you pick up the leader. So now that's lap 1. Caution car picks up the field in lap 1, lap 2, wherever. I mean, turn 1, turn 2. Caution, you know, picks them up. Then they come back around. And you get them in single file. That's 2 laps. All right, pit road's open to the lead lap cars. They pit, they come out, come around. That's 3 laps. Pit road's open out to the lap cars. It's 4 laps. Get the field in order. That's 5 laps. 1 to go at the line, 6 laps. At minimum, every caution was 6 laps. Think about it. So they went to quickie cautions. That means anybody could anybody can pit anytime with a lead lap car or a lap car. It does kind of, WJ. You're cracking me up, man. But that would only save a lap. You know, that would only save a lap. How's my profile? Is my profile fitted? Anyway, you know, these cautions sometimes take forever. They take forever. You know, so that's one of the things that needs to be addressed. That they shouldn't take this long, and part of that's the teams too. You know, these guys are going to sit there and argue with each other either in the spot stands or on the racetrack. Oh, I got the spot. You got. I'm not letting you in. The scoring, the computer's going to say, yo, 83 in front of the 12. I mean, that's what they're going to do. You know. So why battle it out? Wherever you are, you are. You know, just get behind somebody. They'll fix it. You know, you go right to the transponder. Go right to the transponder. But speaking of transponders, I had the opportunity to. My girls came for dinner yesterday, which was nice, and with two of the three brought their boyfriends, which was also nice. But we started talking about racing. Go figure. And my daughter Erin, she's one of the scorers at here on Long Island at Riverhead, and we were talking about the transponder gig, and there's a certain team, actually there's two teams that she was talking about, that in the truck, Super Pro truck division, where they could be running side by side with somebody, and their transponder clicks off a lot sooner than the other person's. So I told Erin she needs to talk to the powers to be, which she thinks I should do it. But they have a rule where it has to go, I guess, and I don't have the latest set of rules for the local racetrack, but they have a rule that it has to be a certain spot on the frame rail at the rear end. Now, what if the guy's wheelbase is a little longer? Or what if his nose is a little longer, or a little shorter for that matter? So I said, you know, it should be so many inches back behind the furthest point of the front bumper. This way, everybody's transponder will pick up the same. If the nose is crossing the finish line and everybody's, like in the modifieds, 150 inches back, doesn't matter where it is, as long as it's 150 inches back from the furthest point of the front bumper. This way, it'll click off at the same time. It's the little things, you know, the little things that you look at. You know, I know, you know, you always have somebody trying to play the game, you know, but no, I don't know. And exactly, WJ, it's right, because everybody mounts a little different. Everybody's nose is a little further or less. You know, they're not all identical. You know, there's a wheelbase rule, and period, that's it. There's a height rule, but you could be as long as you want. You could be as short as you want, as long as you fit that. You know, but you know, it's one of those rules that you can't circumvent. You can't read between the lines. And exactly, it's mounted behind the rear axle on most. Now, what if that rear axle is a little forward? It only takes an inch or two, and you could be hub to hub, and you're going to be ahead of the other guy. You know, just something to think about. And because I look at those kind of rules, those are the kinds of things that I like to pick with. And you make it so it can't be gray. You know, but then again, nobody looks at the rules because, you know, I don't think. And I'm not just saying my local racetrack, and a lot of rules, even in the touring series, there's rules in there that contradict other rules. And I pointed it out once to the technical director, and I said to him, what do we do about this here? Because I used to play, not used to play, I still play dumb sometimes. I said, you know, on this page here it said, you can't do this. He goes, that's right, they can't do that. So I go, on this page here, it says you must do that. He's looking at it. No, you're reading it wrong. No. You know, it says here, you can't do this. And then it says here, you must do this. You know, it's, I don't know. I don't understand that. There's even rules at some of the local racetracks that says headlights and headliner must be removed. Now, there's a lot of people who don't even know what a headliner is, but that was the material that was inside most automobiles that was on the roof, and it was almost like a sheet, and then it was like a little foam there in case you hit your head on the roof. And then there's the metal. Now, most cars today, the headliner is plastic. But forget that. Most race cars today, you go to your local parts guy and you buy a body. All right, so I don't understand how these rules stay in there. You know, I can remember looking at in figure eight rules, and it said, about bobtailing. And what bobtailing is you shorten the rear end of the body, the body itself. So it said that, the rules said that you can only bobtail up to where the rear springs mount, because the rule was built for leaf spring cars. The rule was designed for leaf spring cars. So Bobby Lane shows up, and he doesn't even have a trunk on the car. It's cut all the way over to the rear window, and the late Walt Detz was like flipping out on it, and Bobby Lane says, right here, it says I could cut it back to where the springs mount. Walt goes, that's right, blah, 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 blah. Mike goes, well, I have coils, and that's where my springs mount. Stuff like that, it's still in the rule book, stuff like that. It needs to be addressed. And I'm not just saying, at my local racetrack, but every racetrack. It's easy to add a rule, but nobody looks and sees what is it contradicting. So with that contradiction, I think I needed to take a break. But let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the 2013 milestones in racing in the Cup Series. I found some interesting information. We'll be back.
Putting it off and start painting it up today at Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore paints, stick-ins, wood finishes, paints, and professional paint supplies, ideal for contractors and homeowners. Stain paints and epoxies, family owned and operating, in business for over 55 years. Professional and experienced help. Located at 2 locations, 55B Route 25, Coram, Long Island, New York, and 1495 Plaza Montauk Highway, Mastic, New York. Call them at 775-7435 and 775-8135. Ben's Paint Station, featuring Benjamin Moore Paints. Log on to the Enravio Advertisers page today.
Radio.com.
East End Screen Printing and Embroidery. Shirts for as low as $3 with print. 631-281-TEES. That's 631-281-TEES. 1355F Montauk Highway, Mastic, Long Island, New York. Go to eastendsilkscreenprinting.com for more info.
Hanging with the cool kids at Enravio.com.
Hey guys, it's Christine from Backwater. Tune in every Saturday night from 7 to 9 for music history, musicians' birthday blocks, trivia time, and the best alternative music around. Saturdays at 7, only on Enravio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Sud City Car Wash, Montauk Highway in Mastic, Long Island, New York. $9.99 early bird special Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Phone 395-6114. Sud City Car Wash. Hand washes, hand waxes, and detailing. Interior cleaning, brushless, car wash club. Simonized products. Sud City Car Wash. Montauk Highway in Mastic, Long Island, New York.
And we're back. A little discussion in the chat room about the 2 car in the Whelen Modified Tour is driverless as of right now. There's a lot of rumor who's going in, who might be in, who could be in. That is a championship caliber team that Todd Szegedy has vacated, and for whatever reason, I don't know why. He vacated the team. I don't know if it was a mutual thing. I don't know if he's had enough. I don't know if they've had enough. I don't know, and I'm not even going to speculate. They were together a long time. A long time. We won a championship with them, but a long time ago. And then Todd went off to do some nationwide stuff, and then came back. But I know in talking to his car owner, Mike Somerglio, it was tough. It was tough to field a championship caliber team without money. And they had some good sponsorship. Good sponsorship. And I can remember Mike telling me at the end of the 2012 season that he did not know what was in store for them because of they lost a big sponsor, but they were going to gain one, maybe. So now that Todd's out, and there's a lot of speculation, a lot of rumor going on at who's going to drive the car. And I believe that decision has already been made, but it has not been announced. Because, you think about it, you really need to work on sponsorship for next season, last season. So if they're putting this deal together, they're going to have to go to a sponsor and say, our driver is Racer X, so to speak. So I don't know. And yes, my gal, I had read that the 3 team, the Bowler car, that's will be racing a partial season on the tour, and partial or some races on the Valenti Modified Racing Series, which should be interesting. Because it seems to me, and I don't have my list of drivers who have done this. It seems to me most teams that have gone to try the Valenti Modified Racing Series don't come back. It's a heck of a lot less expensive to race that series. And from what I saw in a couple of those races and events I've been to, there's a little bit more professionalism on, can I put this, with some of the way some of the officials speak to the competitors. And anybody that's close to the Modified Tour knows that there's a couple of people who have attitudes and think who they are because they have that shirt on their back. Not everyone's like that. There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of people who could make you laugh that wear the official shirt. But there's a couple that think who they are, and there's a couple that just don't know how to talk to people. And then there's 1 or 2 that just tick people off. So anyway, I think that's what happens there. I don't know. But no set driver for the 2. My daughter couldn't drive the 2. Are you kidding? She needs a lot of practice. She hasn't driven a race car competitively since I think it was 08. But there's a plan. We actually talked, my daughter and I, we talked about that last night. What the plan could be, and Silverback I think knows what that plan may be. But I'm gonna do my thing for a couple of years, or a couple of 2 or 3 years, and then go do it. But anyway, we'll see. Anyway, some 2013 milestones. I was just going through some things, and as everybody knows, Jimmy Johnson got his 6th Cup championship, which makes him 1 behind Earnhardt and Petty, who have 7 each. And that was a record. I'll tell you what, just like the Babe Ruth home run record, that was a record I thought that nobody would ever attain because of the way racing is today in the Cup Series. But here you have Jimmy Johnson. He has 6 championships, and he still has a handful of years left under his belt to go racing. So I could see him with 8 championships. I really can. Anyways, speaking of Richard Petty, Richard Petty had 1,184 starts in Cup. They called it Grand National back then, and then there's the Winston Cup and the Sprint Cup Series. Second in starts is Bobby Labonte, if my sources are correct. Bobby Labonte rolled off the grid at Talladega for the start number 700. I thought there's people have more. I thought Ricky Rudd had more than that, but I got this from NASCAR.com. So let's see what else. Jeff Gordon started his 700th race a week later at Darlington. Dale Jr. and Matt Kenseth both started their 500th races. And Johnson, Jamie Montgomery, and Greg Biffle have 400 starts. And Kyle Busch got his 300th start in 2013. 9 drivers started their first Cup race in 2013, like what Jeff Gordon did in 1992. So you never know what could happen. So those 9 drivers are Justin Allgaier, Victor Gonzalez Jr., Paulie Haraka, Owen Kelly, Alex Kennedy, Parker Kligerman, Kyle Larson, Justin Marks, and Ryan Truex. So you never know if one of those guys will be the guy 20 years from now to be the guy that you're talking about. Matt Kenseth, he earned victory number 30 at Chicagoland in 2013. And, when you look at the schedule, they're running their 36 races, whatever. It's not like it was years ago where in the 60s and the early 70s before Winston came in as a title sponsor, when they were running 50 and 60 events a year. That schedule has been curtailed. So it would be very difficult, I think, I think that 200 wins will stand for a long, long, long time that Richard Petty has. Just saying. What else? 2013, Danica Patrick became the first woman to start on the pole, the first to score a top 10 finish, and the first female driver to lead a lap at Daytona. She actually led 5 laps. So that's pretty interesting. I would have thought that back in the 50s there were some women drivers who probably, or I thought would have maybe got a pole, I don't know, but I guess when you're using a handheld stopwatch or that little dial indicator that they used to have, which used to stamp things, I saw that in that movie, The Big Wheel, with Mickey Rooney. Now they do the timing, but anyway. Ford Motor Company earned its 1,000th NASCAR victory with Greg Biffle, with his win at Michigan, and that includes the top 3 series. That's Cup, Nationwide, and Camping World. Let's see, Kurt Busch and the Furniture Row team became the first team since the Chase has been instituted, the first single car team to make the Chase in 2013. So just some little tidbits, little tidbits. What do we got here? What's going on? Jack Johnson's cover stars. I'm telling you what, Jimmy Johnson is a good driver. He, in my opinion, he's an awesome driver. Let's just put it that way. I guess good is a tough word to use here, but he's good. You can't take that away from him. You team him up with Rick Hendrick, who's been in this sport for even over 20 years and has numerous championships with numerous different drivers. It's going to happen. Jimmy Johnson's going to win races. He's going to win championships. Would he have been as good with other teams? I don't know. The talent is there. But, it's all about sometimes you could take the best driver and put him in the worst car. They're still going to win. But you can't take the worst driver and put him in the best car and win. It's just not going to happen. Case in point. In 1989, I got into a championship caliber race car that won championships, that won a championship. Was the first to cross the line in the World Championship race in 85, and had numerous victories. My best finish with that thing was 6th. Again, you could take the best car and put a mediocre guy in it, and the car is not going to make it. But I've seen the guy who drove that car get in junk and battle for wins. And when I say junk, I mean junk. So Jimmy Johnson could wheel a race car. You know. Anyway, so I hope you guys are being facetious because I missed all of that. Congress is having hearings about Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, Congress could care less about NASCAR. You know, in the 70s, they cared about NASCAR because they thought they were wasting, gas because of the gas shortage. So they made the 500-mile races 450. Meantime, the gas that they were burning wasn't anywhere near what the gas that they used in the highway, so they didn't really save anything. It was just a political ploy. Imagine that, a political ploy to make themselves look good. We're going to stop NASCAR. They're going to, 10%, their races are going to be short 10% to save fuel, because that's a waste of time and money and gas. And you have 43 cars, going through 100 gallons of fuel. Let's make them go through 80 gallons of fuel instead. Come on. You just look at some of these things, and I'm surprised that the government hasn't done anything with NASCAR. But then again, NASCAR is like the mob, man. I mean, look at all those guys who tried to organize it when they made that drivers' professional union in the mid-'60s. They went to unionize, guaranteed purses, guaranteed pays. Kinds of good stuff. If you got hurt, you got taken care of. All they did was follow what the truckers union did in the 30s. Make sure you got paid. If you got hurt, if you got taken care of. I don't know. The guys, that push for that. Some got banned. Some got banned forever. You often wonder how can an organization be that powerful? It's real simple. It's their sand. It's their sandbox. You can bring your pail, bring your shovel, but you got to play by their rules, and if you don't like it, go somewhere else. And it's worked for over 50 years. Has the economy changed things lately? Absolutely. The economy's changed the world. It's changed how we do business. I worked for a company that decided it needed to go public because they couldn't go to China with a boatload of money and just buy whatever they wanted. So they had to make their stock public so that they could go and trade shares of stock, because the American dollar wasn't worth anything. So they went public. International Speedway Corp. that owns all the racetracks, most of the racetracks. It's a publicly traded stock. I'm not saying run out and buy it tomorrow, but I got in before it split way back, some 15, 20 years ago. I got in back then. Sometimes you gotta roll the dice, But it's a business. NASCAR is a business. And like any other business, it needs to be profitable. And I saw earlier in the chat room, somebody was saying that the France family are billionaires. Yes, they are. But think about what they sacrifice to become billionaires. Think about it. And they do 22 figure. They have good lobbyists. Like, as you put it, great lobbyists. But think about their life is racing. Their entire lives, everything they do, they eat, breathe, and drink racing. That's their business. That's what they do. It becomes a challenge to others to try to buck NASCAR. Now think about it. All these weekly tracks across the country, they all have the same thing. They're sanctioned by NASCAR. Does that mean that the racetrack that's not sanctioned by NASCAR can't operate? Of course they can. Insurance is going to be a little costly. But I know when I was involved with building these racetracks on Long Island, and I was heavily involved. People have no idea how involved I was there. And I can remember, and again, not to put them down, but the owners of the local racetrack here on Long Island had to protect their interest, and then they did this, I don't know, this article in a local paper, how that NASCAR would never approve this racetrack, and that nobody had anything to worry about it. They weren't going to close. We weren't going to compete with them. And our prospectus didn't say a NASCAR racetrack. It said NASCAR type facility. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you people out there. If you don't think we talk to NASCAR about single event sanctioning for a modified tour race, for a Campbell truck race, for a K&N race, which back then it was the Busch East. I think it was the Busch East. It was one of those build it and we'll come. You see, and we just couldn't build it. And we tried. See, we didn't have good lobbyists. And we had a county executive here in Suffolk County who lied to us. Because what he didn't realize is I went to the affordable housing meeting that he had. It was just for people involved with affordable housing and people who were looking for affordable housing. And what he said, now I just met with him and the principals of our thing, met with him like the afternoon before. The next day, that evening, he goes and meets with affordable housing people, and somebody questioned the racetrack in Yaphank. And for those who are not familiar with Long Island, it's a little eastern of the center of the island. If you took a string and went from Orient Point down to Brooklyn, and from up by the Triborough Bridge to Montauk, it's just to the east of that, crisscross, that intersect. So he stood up because somebody asked about this racetrack that was going to be built on property that was undesirable in between a jail, a mulch pit, and the town dump. He pounded his fist. No racetrack will be built on this island while I'm county executive. So I stood up. I was in the back of him. I stood up. And I said, really? And he looked. And he realized the day before, he said that we had his blessing. And all of a sudden, he had another meeting he had to go to. He snuck out the back door and drove away. We didn't have our lobbyists. We didn't do, we did all our homework except for that. And you're right, 22 figure. Today's France kids sacrifice nothing. Big Bill and Betty and Bill Jr. did it all. But think about this now. They grew up. This was their life growing up. Whether they were selling tickets, selling hot dogs, sweeping racetracks, partying under the bleachers with their friends, whatever they were doing. That was their life. That's the only life they know. That's the only life they know. And what's happening is they got bigger and they got bigger and they got bigger, and all these racetracks started building bigger racetracks and bigger facilities and adding seats year after year after year. And all they did was put the footings in for a new set of grandstands, and those tickets are sold. And now, there's empty seats. And when we lost that Yaphank deal, we moved over into the Calverton because that was ideal. Basically, the same plans, boop, took it off the sheet, changed Yaphank to Calverton, dropped the information back down. And talk about politics. Who the hell ever heard of an indoor ski slope that won, that beat us out, that never got built? What should have happened is they should have had so much time to build their ski mountain, indoor ski mountain, And at such time, if they couldn't secure permits or whatever they needed to do, it should have reverted back to us. We would have had our racetrack and our drag strip. And these guys would be racing down highways and back roads and getting killed. They'd have a place to race. Go see these drag race guys. You know, and I'm not a fan of drag racing. I'm not a fan of racing, as a matter of fact. To me, it's a business. But, you know, I did my thing when I was 17, 18 years old, and Comac Road, where in front of the hospital there was one lane, and then all of a sudden for the hospital, because years ago the traffic was so heavy, they made a lane just it was a quarter mile, exactly a quarter mile, that you could pull into the hospital. And you know, we went racing there, and then they built 231. So a lot of people don't remember when they built 231, when it came from the Southern State Parkway down into Babylon Village. That road wasn't there. It was Deer Park Avenue. And when they cut 231 in, holy cow, that was our racetrack. That's where we raced. And the Suffolk County PD, the first precinct, had jurisdiction over there. And we just knew that at 11:45 p.m., the 4 to 12 shift was headed back to the precinct. And there wasn't going to be another police car in that area till 12:15. So at 11:46, we started racing down 231. And I can remember my buddy, I worked with him at the dairy barn at the time. I was a kid, I was just in high school. My buddy Jackie Sullivan, he had a hot car. He was the guy that built the beat. And he took that bad boy and he just got a little bit squirrely, and he got caught up in the shoulder in the concrete, and the car jiggled and it went off, and he rammed the guardrail, airborne. I'll never forget. He's up in the air, and he just smashed down, broke both his legs and whatnot. And it was kind of scary. So after that, I never did that anymore. Not that I had a drag car, I didn't. But my friend had this car, was a Mustang, worked to the max. Even he, after that, he took that motor out of the car, he took that Mustang, and he put a roll cage in it, and he made it a bomber car and raced at Freeport. He was number 67, Mike Tafano, good guy. But Jackie Sullivan, so when he healed, he built a new car, he went back drag racing in the streets. The conduit down there in Queens, I guess it was, Sunrise Highway, Comac Road, 231. When they cut up William Floyd up and made that a 4-lane highway both directions, and went drag racing up there, Whiskey Road and Ridge. These are the places, you know, you go, you look at this, you see the skid marks on the road there. But these kids are getting hurt, they're getting killed. Because they just, you know, they want to go fast, they want to race. And we had an avenue for that. And they didn't let us do it. And they should have, because things would have been different. There would have been some kids that are dead today that be still alive, and you wouldn't see all these things and wrecks on the Southern State Parkway. I mean, heck, it was a couple of weeks ago, I was on 231, I was at the light, and a guy pulls up next to me, and I have like a grandpa car. I have a Ford Taurus. This guy pulls up, he's revving his motor, he's smoking the tires, he's gonna go, he's going. Light turns green, bam, he punches it out and goes. And I couldn't resist, so I punch it out and go. So, and he's like gone, he's like really gone. But I had my car up to 110 miles an hour, and I realized that this wasn't a smart thing to do. But he had slowed down to get off at 231 before it hit Main Street Babylon. He got off at what's anybody familiar with the area, John Street. And as I went past him, he was just laughing. He was just laughing. I had a good time. The adrenaline was pumping. It was good. It was all good. But anyway, going back to, you know, we tried to build this thing. We tried to make it happen. And I mean, we did studies, sound studies. We went to a track in California, and we did it. And 22 figure, you're 100% correct. Not in my backyard. You're not putting it. And everywhere we tried to go, they didn't want it. Well, I don't know. Now, you know, there were tracks all over this island years ago, and now there's only one left, and And people can keep condemning the place. You know what? Instead of condemning it, they need to work with it. Because if you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. You know, road course, a drag show, absolutely. Hey, well, look at Thompson building that road course. Go to Google Earth, you'll see it. It's just one of the things you got to do. I don't know. And then all these race cars. What are we going to do with our race cars when there's no racetracks left? What, are we going to go in the street? Think about it. Think about when they closed ISA Speedway. What? Those people there, and I don't know if I said this on the show. When I was at UPS, I had an account. Silver Lake Cookie was one of my accounts, believe it or not. And I remember going there and doing my business. And there was a guy walking his dog outside, and he saw my license plate frame. It said, NASCAR stuff. And I think the coffee truck was there, and I went to get a cup of coffee or something. And then I walked back to my car, and he goes, "Oh, you're into racing?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you remember when ISA Speed was there?" I said, "I remember it. I raced here." So he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "We hated that place. Every Saturday night, I couldn't sit in my backyard. I tried to have a barbecue. All I heard was the roar of the motors. My house shook sometimes." I said, "Yeah, that's how it was, right?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "Then we called the town. We called the police. We did everything. We needed to shut that place down." And then we heard this place, this cookie factory was coming here. We thought it was the greatest thing. I said, "Why, it's not?" He says, "This tractor trailer is running in and out of there 24/7. The noise from the motors, the lift gate slamming down, the loading dock gate slamming down, the smell of diesel fuel, it's 24/7. And I said, "That's why you need to be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. You wanted the racetrack gone, it's gone." But what are you going to do? And WJ, myracenews.com, absolutely. Those properties are involved in it are still empty. Still empty. There's no tax revenue coming in, nobody working there. Just think of the tax revenues that a racetrack was going to bring. Just think of that, the jobs that it would have created, not only in the construction of it, but the employees. Because we weren't just going to have a racetrack there. There was going to be all kinds of stuff. But I don't know. It's just, what are you going to do? It's just crazy. It's just crazy, and I don't want to say I give up at the thought of having a racetrack built on Long Island. I don't believe an oval track will be built, but I do believe a drag strip will be built. That's, as somebody on the Long Island Planning Board had said to me in confidence, don't be surprised to see a drag strip someday. So that means they're talking about it. That means they are talking about it. So anyway, let's take a break. We come back, we'll do some stuff to get wrapped up here. We'll be back.
Mauritius Bay Diner and Restaurant. Steaks, chops, wraps, breakfast skillets. The Mauritius Bay, 62 Montauk Highway in Mauritius, New York. 878-6827. The Mauritius Bay Diner and Restaurant in New York.
InRavio.com.
Stay in tune guitar strings. Guitar strings, bass strings, polish and accessories. Stay in tune guitar strings. Akron, Ohio. www.sitstrings.com.
InRavio. Transmitter? We don't need no stinking transmitter. Welcome to InRavio.com.
Hey, this is Paul Discofani, the disco portion of the Glory Days with Bruce and Disco show on Sundays, 10 a.m. to noon. It's a sports show with a twist. We have entertainment, music, and whatever you want to talk about. Only on InRavio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Good Times Magazine, New York's best entertainment paper for 43 years. Check out their calendar for all the latest music info, including New York City, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. Studio News brings you the biggest news about the hottest artists and sounds. Technobeat is your guide to electronica, techno, house, and dubstep. Packtrack keeps you up to date on the biggest events at the area's performing arts centers and theaters. Good Times Magazine gives you all this and more. It's bi-weekly and it's free. Pick up your copy today or visit goodtimesmag.com.
Hey, we're back. See in the chat room, 22 Figure 8 had a kind of has a question there. It says, how long are the Cromedies, who are the owners and promoters of Red Raceway, going to keep going? Now, they're in their mid-70s, and they've been doing this for a long, long time. Long, long time. I don't know. They're Jim Cromedy's in failing health, from what I could see. And, but Barbara seems to be the driving force, in my opinion, again, it's my opinion, behind the racetrack. Now, when it comes to their children, somebody's saying, do their kids want the racetrack? There's 4 daughters. And I don't know what they want, or if Barbara and Jim would even give it to them, or sell it to them, or however that works. But I do know this, that when oh, thanks. Wow, time flies when you have fun. Jim is 80. I think he was 80. So I do know this. If they do give it up and just walk away and sell the property, I can't see whoever's going to buy that property for the number that they want is going to keep it a racetrack. I do know some people who are negotiating with them regarding buying it as a racetrack, but the terms are just big. It's not the dollar amount, because the dollar amount's fair considering what you got there. The acreage, and it's on Route 58, and there's railroad rights, and that may mean something to some, but the problem that I see there is the capital gains. They only paid like $500,000 for the facility back in the mid-'80s. Something like that, 500,000, and they paid it off like really quick, because I think they put half down, and they had a 1-year note for the other half, and the people of the estate, they bought it from the Hawkins estate, and the Hawkins estate really thought they were going to fall on place and take it over and resell it again, but they didn't. So with that being said, let's throw the number around that the group I was involved with when they tried to buy it. It was like $10 million. That's $9.5 million in capital gains. Now, I'm no accountant, but I'm thinking that's a lot. That they're gonna have to pay a lot of capital gains. Because if you look at it, they can't do write-offs or improvements, because what did they really do improvement-wise? They've done some things, but understand too that some of the property that they utilize it under eminent domain because they just kept encroaching. And what if LIPA, the Long Island Power Authority, sells that lot to, I don't know, some company? The driveway going in and out of racetrack would be a single lane. We discovered all this when we did title searches and stuff to see what the property actually was. So if they move on and don't sell it to somebody who keeps a racetrack, if you want any souvenirs or memories from the place, you might want to get there quick and go get some. I hope that doesn't happen. I really do. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope a racer buys it. I was talking to somebody who was in negotiations with them and has been for quite some time. That's right, 2 people. And it's it's a tough nut. It's a tough deal, and you just hate to see a place go. I've seen racetracks close. I've seen Freeport close. I saw Bridgehampton close, West Hampton close, and Islip close, just in my lifetime. Some of them closed for industrial places, some closed for housing. Some of the sand just blew over the pavement, and there's condos in the infield and golf courses, and you think about that, and it's not like it was years ago. Years ago, I remember Barbara Rourke saying, if you wanted to on Long Island, you could race 5 nights a week. And I remember those days. I remember Islip ran in the middle of the week, Wednesdays, Wednesdays and Saturdays and Sundays, and Riverhead, and Fridays, and Freeport on Saturdays, and some Sunday stuff, and everybody worked together then. There's no cutthroatness. No cutthroatness. And one of the things we had planned to do with our facility, whether it was Yaphank or Calverton, is not run on the same day, of course, that Riverhead ran. But this is our plan. We were going to have a Long Island championship, Long Island points. You race the Riverhead, you get your points, get your money, you get your, whatever you finish with, you come to our place. But to entice people to come to our place, we were going to offer some nice purses and some nice point fund money, so to speak, and championship money for being a Long Island champion. And maybe we put the cart before the horse by coming up with these plans, but we had to, build it, and they will come type of thing. So we had to know what we were doing. We had to have a plan. And how are we going to get race cars? I mean, there's more than operating a racetrack than you show up, open the pit gate, and stand there. You got to promote the place. You got to get people in there. So what better way to get people into a new facility than to dangle a little carrot at the end of the stick? Hey, listen, if you run here, you run there, we'll have a Long Island champion, you'll get monies, you get this, you get that. That was our plan. We weren't looking to hurt Riverhead. We were looking to work together. And everybody looked at it as we were trying to hurt Riverhead. We were prepared if Riverhead closed to move to Saturdays and get NASCAR sanctioning. But there was a lot going on behind the scenes. I remember sitting with the architects and trying to come up with plans and layouts and all kinds of stuff. And, we're going to make it just a little bit bigger, 3/8, imperfect. It was something that we were looking to do, something that could have worked very well here on Long Island. And we also weren't looking to race every weekend. Not that we were going to race only once a month, but we're going to make it so we were trying to be neighbor friendly. Not that there were a lot of neighbors. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not thinking the inmates at the Yaphank Correctional Facility were going to write letters to the legislature saying that the noise was too loud on a Saturday, and I'm not thinking the rats in the town dump were going to complain about the noise, and I'm sure that the mulch pit wasn't going to be affected because hopefully the wind would be blowing the right way and you wouldn't have that smell going into the facility. But like Joseph 39 says, we only have Riverhead, and you know what? You got to make that place. You got to make the best of it. You got to, stop the nonsense. And one of the things that needs to be stopped at that place, and I don't know what it's going to take to do, is all this fighting and brawling that goes on night after night. Some nights there's more state troopers there than there are late models. That's got to stop. That's got to stop. It can't be any of this negativity. And the way that has to stop is the officials in charge. The officials need to put the big boy pants on and make some calls and handle it on the racetrack so it's not handled in the pit area. See, but they all want to be buddies. They all want to be friends. They all want to hang out, go to barbecues, and they're officiating by committee, and you can't do that. my understanding is they brought a former driver in now to advise. Are you kidding? If they need a former driver to advise them on things, fire them all and make that former driver the head guy. All right? So, I don't know. You know, it's just one of those things. And I don't know if there's any plans for Calverton, for Racing World. I don't know what the plans are. I kind of, after the second bubble burst, I kind of walked away, you know. But Yaphank would have been the best place for it. Easy access, easy in, easy out. And in a piece of real estate that nobody wanted. You know, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. You need the right people on the zoning board. You need the right people that know people on the zoning board. And, you know, and not only for the town of Brookhaven, but Suffolk County and the Long Island Planning Board. You need the right people to talk to them and sell it. Because you think about, and in no way am I putting anybody down here, but think about what people think when they think of a local racetrack. The movies portray it this way, people portray it this way. It's an old guy, kind of messed up, dirty clothes, you know, because that's what they envision. And you know what? Some of the richest guys that I've known have sometimes the filthiest clothes because they're just hardworking individuals. Can't judge a guy or a gal by their outer appearance. You know, I don't know. You know, it's kind of like when they built the water park many years ago. People fought that the traffic. Oh my God, the traffic's not bad enough. I don't know. We got to drive past the entrance to the place to get to the racetrack from where I live on the west end. I don't think the traffic's that bad. Traffic ended up bad to get into 58 with all those daggone traffic lights that aren't timed correctly. You know, and it all backs up, and when, you know, 2 lanes in each direction goes to 1, and then it goes back to 2 again. It's like a bottleneck, like that freaking Oakdale merge. And Route 58 on any given afternoon is a nightmare because it wasn't designed properly. It wasn't designed properly. It wasn't designed for the traffic that's there. When I was a UPS driver in '83, my route, I did for a few months, I did Route 58 in Riverhead and Polish Town. That was my route. There was nothing on Route 58. Nothing. A couple of places, the Roll Brothers, Siegel Bag, the racetrack. There were no stores until you got all the way down by where what the heck was it? The Home Depot was, not the Home Depot, I'm trying to remember. Like Pergamon, but just past the circle, that's where it was. Yeah, there was some, you know, stores along the way, but there was nothing that warranted big traffic. So I don't know. It was so different. And it was nothing there. 22 figure hours, there was nothing there. Nothing there. I can remember leaving there at night, and it was so dark. You know, it was so dark. But it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and building and building and building. And you know, just think what's going next door, another big box store. So I don't know. Anyway, it's almost time to wrap up. So let's wrap this thing up. Now, not a lot of racing going on because racing's over. We're coming to the banquet time of year for things. We got the Spring Cup banquet going to Vegas. Got the Torrent Series banquets the week after down in Charlotte. And it's all good. So it's getting ready for another season. I know I'm excited. Silverback and I, we've been chatting with my car owner. I actually called him twice. I called him on Thanksgiving, and I called him, and then he called me the next day. So we got a lot determined, and what we're going to be doing. Looking forward to 2014. I'm excited. I haven't been excited about racing in a long, long time. That's since my kid raced. And who knows how that's going to turn out. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up here. And I want to thank everybody for coming on. Everybody be safe in your journeys. Be well. God bless you all, and tell somebody you love them. Have a good one.
You're just out of place.